welcome back to Kim Reads as we continue with Moby Dick. Chapter 16, Another Report of Moby Dick. We arrived in the waters south of Singapore while the weather was still good. Ahab was certain this is where he would finally battle the white whale. These were the waters in which he was most often seen. We certainly found many whales there. Ahab was right that it was feeding ground. We gave chase. This is how a sailor refers to a whale hunt, to them all. By the time in our voyage, I could barely remember when I was not a whaler. I could barely remember the time before I joined the crew of the Pequod. I was so used to this hunt. I learned to react with the instincts of someone who had seen years at sea. I loved the action and the adventure, but there were always unexpected dangers. More than once, our tiny boats were trapped between two massive whales. It was only through Starbuck's excellent work that our boat ever escaped. Not long after our run-in with the Jungfrau, we came upon yet another ship. This is one from England called the Samuel Enderby. We saluted our crew. They saluted us and invited us on board their ship. Before leaving the Pequod, Ahab asked his usual question, had they encountered the white whale? The English captain didn't respond. He held up his arm instead. It was a fake arm made from whale, though. Aha! Ahab cried. He quickly climbed onto the boat and made his way to another ship. Unfortunately, he forgot that it would be difficult to climb onto an unfamiliar ship with his peg leg. The Pequod was specially equipped to help the captain get around, so his climb aboard the English ship was a bit slower than expected. When we finally reached the English captain, it seemed to take forever. Ahab asked about his arm. It was the whale, wasn't it? He asked. The whale that took your arm? Aye, the Englishman said, just as the whale took your leg. Ahab nodded. Tell me your tale, he said. Describe your fight. The Englishman nodded, then started his story. It was my first time out on a whaling ship. We were sailing smoothly one day when the ocean floor seemed to rise between us. It was the great white whale. I had not heard him before. He had a giant white head and sprinkled brow. There were old harpoons stuck into his side. Those were mine, Ahab whispered. It sounded almost like a hiss. Those were my harpoons. He was trying to bite our fast line, the Englishman continued. Yes, Ahab said excitedly. I know him. I know that is what he does. But go on, tell us the rest. I'm trying, the Englishman said. Ahab tried to settle down, but it was difficult. He longed to hear stories of the whale. As I said, the Englishman continued, the whale was biting on a line we had tied between our two boats. His teeth must have stuck on the line, but we didn't know it. So when we tugged down on it, he was pulled on his side, and we were all tossed and clean in the air. And where should we land? Right on his back. The whale made another few quick dashes, and our tiny boat was destroyed. I tried to hang on to a harpoon sticking out of his side, but that didn't last long. The sea around me was too strong, and I was pulled under. On my way down, my shoulder caught on another harpoon sticking out of the whale. It tore my flesh open. The ship's surgeon then joined the conversation. He told the men all about his attempts to save the captain's arm. The injury was too great, though. They had to cut it off. All the men listening to the story carefully, but Ahab was growing impatient. He did not want to hear about the captain's recovery. He wanted to know about the whale. Did you see him again? He asked. Is that the last time you saw Moby Dick? We weren't sure if it was Moby Dick, the Englishman said. As I said before, I was new to whaling ships at the time. It wasn't until we met other whalers and compared notes that we knew it was him. But you have seen him again, Ahab insisted. Yes, the Englishman said, twice more. You didn't catch him, Ahab said. He sounded astonished. We didn't even try, the Englishman said. I lost one limb. That's enough. You must remember, the ship's surgeon interrupted. A whale cannot digest anything large. It's physically impossible. If one bites you, it's only because of his own awkwardness. With that, Ahab could wait no longer. He threw his hands in the air and let out an impatient sigh. Back on the boat, men, he hollered to his oarsmen. In no time flat, they were back at the Pequod. When he arrived back on the ship, Ahab took one good look at his ivory leg. It became obvious that he had done some damage to it. He was not used to so much thumping and rushing about. He had become too agitated at the story of the whale and probably had stamped his leg without realizing it. Ahab called over the carpenter. I want you to make me a new leg, he said. Use a piece of whalebone that we have in storage. Find the best piece and get all the fittings ready. I will need it by tonight. The carpenter left immediately to find the perfect piece of whalebone for his captain. And that's the end of that chapter. See you later.